Yeah, just bear with me. Test 1, 2. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Um, from what I saw here on the chat, looks like the sound and the video quality is acceptable, is good. So the title of this weekend's of this Sabbath lesson is going to be why black men have to lead the family. So we're going to go into that, and then we're going to also go into a couple other topics that relate to that. We should have enough time to do that, so it shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, it'll be a very informative lesson. But what we're going to do first is get into current events. So let me make sure everything's fine, and we will get into that. Let me get my mic set up properly. There we go. All right. So I didn't really have a whole bunch for current events this week. But the first one is a pretty shocking one. Another person, people getting caught up in the superficiality of this society. This lady here, she went crazy with plastic surgery trying to look like Angelina Jolie, and this is how she turned out. I mean, and that is scary, you know. She just addicted to plastic surgery, and that's how it turned out, trying to look like Angelina Jolie and end up looking like Angelina Jolie's corpse or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's getting caught up in this society, and you know, the brainwashing of this society, letting yourself be brainwashed, and you know, that's where it gets you. It's not a pretty thing. And there was actually another guy. He tried to who was he trying to look like? Oh, Jennifer Lopez. Let me see if I can find that. Was it plastic? But anyway, yeah, this guy, he surgery. It wasn't Jennifer Lopez. It was Kanye West's wife. What's her name? I forget that lady's name. Kim Kardashian. I know I spelled that all wrong, but it'll probably come up. So yeah, so this guy went crazy trying to look like Kim Kardashian, and ended up looking like a clown. So here, I'll pull this one up. Again, just getting caught up in this society. And yeah, so this guy, he just went crazy on the plastic surgery and looks like a clown show, you know. And that's what happens when you just, get caught up in the brainwashing of this society. You end up looking like that. You got to guard what goes in your mind, and we're going to teach on that today. So we're going to definitely do that. All right. So this here is just a video I did this week. It's a pretty good video. You can check it out. It's on the YouTube page. All right, this is an interesting one. It says anal cancer, the new gay epidemic the media won't talk about. Okay, this cancer is ravaging the gay population faster than AIDS or anything else, and it's cancer. Okay, anal cancer, and I can't think. I'm trying to remember that verse, but that it says what was meat or do them. Getting. Let me see if I could pull that verse up. I might be able to. Yeah, I can't find it, but yeah, it's just the curse of doing that sin, like I did a video not too long ago, and I talked about how I said homosexuality is not bad because it's a sin. It's a sin because there's something bad about it. So God doesn't want you doing that because there's something bad about it. And you look at, you're more prone to HIV. Anytime you're doing anal oral sex, however it is, you're more prone to HIV and all these other diseases because you're using things for stuff it wasn't designed to be used for, But in this society, if it feels good, then it's right, and if it feels bad, then it's wrong, and that's how this society rationalizes everything and judges everything. If you hurt somebody's feelings, you're a sinner according to this society. You know what I'm saying? If you make people feel good, then you're a winner. You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, that's not the case. And the thing is, a lot of doctors don't want to come out with this information because I've read about it before. Their careers will be ruined. They will come out, if a doctor comes out saying something to this extent, it will be the end of their career. Now, let me read up on this article a little bit and see what they're talking about. It says the Los Angeles Times calls anal cancer the next big crisis for the gay community. So yeah, they were saying this thing is running through them just like AIDS was back in the 80s, and it's just destroying them, and they're dying painful deaths because they're not in accordance with God's will, and they're pridefully committing a sin that God regards as an abomination, something that's detestable to him, okay? The American Cancer Society estimates there will be 802,000 new anal cancer cases in 2017. In the absence of national screening recommendations, more than 50% of these individuals will be diagnosed at stage 3 and 5 when 5 years survival is less than 40%. So it's just real bad, you know what I'm saying? And, just practicing that lifestyle, it's encouraged in in this country now. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a disaster, you know? Um, so let's see. All right. And this here, I'm sure everybody heard about the slave trade over in Libya. And just a couple of points to make on that are, number one, I read a lot of good stuff of how, okay, when there were atrocities against humanity over in Libya a couple years ago, when they killed, what's his name, Gaddafi over there, you know, they sent the warplanes in and they bombed them and they took them out and they dealt with it. I don't think that's going to happen with this. You know, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, they could care less, you know. So you can expect them to do nothing. And then when you do your research on Gaddafi, a lot of what, like, he was for our people, you know, he was looking out for those people, you know, and that's probably why they took him out. Another thing they found, he was sitting on a whole ton of gold, and, you know, we got all that. And then, you know, we go in there and we put a puppet government in there and everything like that. And, you know, again, there's a good video to watch. It's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. You can just type it in YouTube. And what it is, they're interviewing the dude who wrote that book. I think the book has that, that's the title of that book. And that is an interesting interview to watch, because that guy talks about how he talks about how, you know, how our government goes about taking over countries now, the new way, you know, and it's more manipulative and political and financial and economical than it is military. The last way, you know, the last thing they'll do if all those other ways fail, if the CIA fails, if the political and the economic, financial manipulation fail, if all else fails, they use the military option on them, you know? And what do? They brainwash the public over here through the news, and we're going to go into this a little bit later, but they brainwash the public over here into thinking, hey, they're wicked, this, that, and the other. But see, this here, what happened here with these videos, that wasn't designed. I don't think that this was designed by the CIA. This just leaked out on them, and they could care less because they already got control of that country. They got the people they want in power there. So that's why I'm saying I don't think anything's going to happen. But the other thing is, when I look on social media, I see our people, yeah, we got to do something, this, that, and the other. Look how they doing our people over there, this, that, and the other. And it's like, we can't even come together over here. You know, we can't even get our people to come together and work together as a nation on a slightest thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you talking about going over there, that's all the way across the ocean, and you don't even know how to swim. So it's like, you know, we are not, all I'm saying, we are not in a position as a nation to do anything for anybody. And this should be motivation to come together as a nation. And I tell you, I watched one of them videos and I cut it short, where they were beating that dude, beating him and stabbing him. And like, cause I'm very passionate. I don't like to see stuff like that happen to my people. And I can't watch stuff like that real long. I gotta, you know, that it gets me mad. I don't watch them slave movies, like all them new slave movies they done come out with lately, like 59 Days a Slave or whatever that movie's called, and the movie with Samuel L. Jackson in it, and the one with Jamie Foxx, and all them other slave movies they came out with lately. I can't watch that because I be done went to work and hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? I don't subject myself to that. And it's like, we know how they we know how they treated us back then. We know how they did us. And it's funny, you never see any inspirational Hollywood movies where we're coming together and rising up. You'll see a movie where we might come together and rise up, and then they stomp us down. And that's how it was for the movie with the slave uprising, the Nat Turner movie. Yeah, I thought that movie was going to be about the uprising and all that. The uprising scene in that movie maybe lasted 15 minutes. The rest of the movie was them just wearing us out. So it's like, I was like, I'm done with them movies. And they won't let them make a Marcus Garvey movie. They said one of those comedians who died, I think Bernie Mac, was pushing for a Marcus Garvey movie. And a lot of people think that was a conspiracy. He died because whatever. But you ain't gonna see you're not gonna see anything come out that gives us inspiration, that inspires us, that gives us hope. You're not gonna see anything that does that. And they're gonna take it all out. And I'm gonna go into that a little bit later. But yeah, so that is the deal with that. And again, this is the title of today's show. Why Black Men Have to Lead the Family. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get set up for this real quick, and we will get the show going. Just give me about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe a little longer, and then we will get started on the lesson. All right. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Shabbat Shalom. Just trying to equal out that sound. Um, and okay, and D Hoodie, he put it up here in the comments. He said, I like Nat Turner. That showed how gave him true understanding. I can see y'all working in that movie. Being in the truth helps me see what was happening to Nat. They banned that movie for a reason. Yeah, and they tried to block it, and he talked about all the he talked about all the roadblocks he ran into getting financing for it and all that stuff, all the hurdles he had to jump over just making the movie. And then the movie theaters were trying to run game on, you know, they were trying to run game on them as far as just stopping them from getting the right viewership count or however they go about doing that. But what I was saying is I wanted the rebellion scene to be longer. Like I thought most of the movie was gonna be, about them running around cracking heads, But to me, it was more the movie was about them getting beat down. But I'll tell you what, that just brought something to memory. I was reading an article today, or not today, but it was an article, and it won't come up on here. It was I don't know who posted. It might have been Brother Adonai who posted it, but it was just about the rules, the laws, the slave laws they had, and the slave codes they had. And I was reading it, and it was interesting because you see it now. You see it now with probation, where the slaves couldn't own guns, you couldn't travel certain places, all these rights they took away from you. And certain things you couldn't teach them or talk about to them, because their whole thing was they didn't want to create unrest or rile them up. They wanted to keep us docile and calm, and they didn't want an uprising. So they were doing what they needed to do to us mentally to prevent an uprising from happening, and that was after that, that whole Nat Turner situation. But yeah, if I could, what? I think I know what that might be. Well, what I'll do when I come across it, I'm gonna post it. I'll post it here. I'll post it on our Facebook group here, and y'all can check it out and read it, because it's a very interesting. I mean, you could draw the parallels to exactly what they're doing to us now. But they're just on a more subtle. It's a more subtle way that they're doing it. So it's a more deceptive way they're doing it. Okay, but anyway, we're gonna get started on the lesson, and the title of the lesson, like I said before, is why Black men have to lead the family. Why you have to have them. The benefits of why you need a Black man in the house. Why you have to have a husband in there. Why that man needs to be leading. Just real briefly, because it's like I see a lot of women because of the brainwashing of this society, the purposeful brainwashing of this society, of the media and everything around. You see women are like, well, they're telling women, hey, you're equal to him. You could do whatever he does. There's no difference between you. And all that's targeted at our race, because when you look at the Indian race, the man runs the show. When you look at the Chinese race, the man's running the show. He's leading the family. He's the head in that area. when you look at all these other cultures, when you look at the white culture, the man's running the show. Now, in the lower class white folks, they might have a broke up family or whatever, but that woman still sticks by his side. But when you look at the black family, that black woman is deceived into getting that man out of the house. They say, look, he can't be in the house, but if he's out of the house, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, we're going to give you the other, okay? But you can't get this, that, and the other unless you put him on child support. And then in the meantime, we're going to oppress this dude. We're going to give him hell on his job. We're going to make life a living hell for him. He's going to have to humiliate himself on jobs or just quit out of frustration. And then his child support's going to back up, and then we're going to lock him up. And then we're going to hit him with a felony, and it's going to be a wrap for him. You know? So it's like you got that system encouraging you to push that man out, okay? On top of that, you're getting the intellectual teaching for you to get rid of that man, to see him as your equal and see him as having no value in that house. You're getting all that programming in from the media, okay? From a lot of women have a righteous mindset of how they're going to deal with their baby's father until the media gets a hold of them, but more so till the other women in their family get a hold of them and flip them, get him to put him on child support, start collecting all them welfare benefits, and just start living the dream or the nightmare, whatever you want to call it. But so what I'm aiming to do, I want to show and begin to educate these women and the men also on what each other's value is, why we need each other, what our role, what our strong points are in a relationship, and everything like that. Okay, so hold on one sec. So D Hoodie said, "Nah, I disagree. He showed him teaching the true word, not what the master said. He knew they was Israel. No slave movie ever gave us that." Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree, like, the movie wasn't a bad movie. My big beef with it was I wanted the rebellion part of the movie where they cracking heads and beating folks down. I wanted that part of the movie to be longer. But instead it was just a little piece of the movie. So that's why that was my big beef with the movie. But yeah, the whole Nat Turner story, it was the truth. And again, that article I was talking about that's on that I'm gonna post in a group later, it tells about there were many other uprisings from slaves, but they never let that story get out. But the Nat Turner story was able to get out and survive and all that stuff like that. But these other uprisings, they didn't let them come out because, and also in that thing that I'm gonna post, the other thing was in the thing that I'm gonna post up there, it talks about how good warriors we were. Like, here these dudes were, we were slaves. They had beat everything out of us and all that stuff. And then somebody told us a little something and we went to town and we're like brilliant warriors. It's like having, you got Steph Curry could hit all these threes. Well, imagine a dude who got Steph Curry skills with a knife or with a gun or something. That's how we are. You know what I'm saying? Got Deion Sanders skills, with a spear. It's a wrap. He could box like Mike Tyson, slip punch, boom, it's a wrap. It's like, so we brilliant at stuff. So a lot of these uprisings we go through killing. It'd be a small group of us just killing tons of white folks, who had us in slavery, and it would blow their mind. So they made sure they took every single step to keep us subjugated. And it was like they got those laws from the Caribbean slave, the people who, because I guess they were more experienced than us here. But anyway, I'll post it and maybe we'll do a little thing on it. Yeah, D put up there laughing out loud. He put, you wanted more cut off heads. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was a part of that. That's what I paid my money for. I already knew the story. I just want to see, you know what I'm saying, us represent out there. You know what I'm saying? And then D put, yeah, I was reading about them other uprisings. Yeah, that's why they took our minds. Exactly. And to this day, that's what they're doing. Like I said, later on in this, I got a little section and I'm going to begin to go in more so you begin to see where they're taking our minds at, where the brainwashing is at, how they're keeping us docile. You know what I'm saying? And it's crafty. I mean, you got to give it to them. So Makisha said, I haven't seen it yet and cannot seem to find it. It was at Redbox, but I can no longer find it. Also, I'm not sure it's at any. Wow. So she said she can't even find the movie. So yeah, I'm gonna have to now I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna have to check that out. Now, that's interesting. All right. And hey baby, can you turn the cuz it's hot in here. Can you turn the AC up? All right. That I was just talking to my wife there. All right. So but yeah, I'm gonna get more into that brainwashing because like I see it everywhere. And it's funny the way I came into the truth and into this word, what happened to me for almost 2 or 3 years, I cut everything out, all media almost, and to this day, I really don't watch, I basically don't watch any TV. Maybe every now and then we might get a movie, watch it as a family, but I don't watch media. Like all I'm watching is messages and history and trying to learn this stuff, But yeah, but that's interesting that I'm gonna go check that out. That you can't find that movie anywhere. Okay, so let me get into this. Again, we're talking about the importance, why you need a black man in the house, why the woman's role, the man's role, and why they don't want him in there. And we kind of alluded to some of the reasons why they don't want him in there. This is part of their pacification, keep us subjugated to them thing, All right, so let me pull up my lesson over here. All right. So the first verse we're going to go to, and I'll pull it up over here. And the original title of this lesson was The Benefits of a Real Man, but I kind of ended up going with this. So, all right, so this is Mark chapter 3, verse 27. And let me, okay. So this is Mark chapter 3, verse 27. And it says, no man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. Okay? Let's kind of go through what it did not say. Did it say the strong woman Did it say first bind the strong woman? No, it said the strong man. Okay. See, once they get the man out of the house, then they could come in and manipulate the woman and do what they want. We saw this in Genesis. It's Satan's tactic. It's like, as deceptive as Satan is, the word of God, the Bible shows his pattern, to where when you just understand these basic things and you don't overcomplicate stuff, but when you understand his basic workings, you don't get deceived. You don't get misled by him. Okay. So you got to see his pattern. He's like a typical passive dude. They don't take the direct approach. They go to the side and they're slick. Okay. So again, they go after the woman. They're not going to go after the man. Okay. That's why you see a lot of women are more likely to have these higher level careers and corporate and making a bunch of money and stuff like that. And we're going to get into that later. All right. So, let me see. All right. So, the next thing I'm talking about here is, let me see if I could get this to come up. I put some of the things a real men bring. What they bring to the table is leadership, decision making, discipline, direction, identity. Like I said, the women want affection, but they also need direction and correction, and that goes for the whole family. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't make that up myself. I got that from somebody else, but I thought it sounded pretty cool, so I said, "Hey, I'm gonna use it." All right, but just real briefly, that is what a man brings to the table. But what the brainwashing is they brainwash our women into thinking, hey, well, I got that too. The man also brings, like I said, affection, brings wisdom and protection. And yeah, physical protection of the house. It's like, yeah, I got a bunch of weapons. I'm getting ready to learn some martial arts and learn how to box a little better and fight. And, just kind of for exercise. And, I think it's good to be good with your hands. But you bring that protection physically, but you also bring a spiritual protection. And that's the big thing. It's not about that physical protection so much. That's easy. You could just go, buy a Glock 19 and have that protection. But it's about that spiritual protection is the big one. And that's what we're going to get into a little later on. But our households are desperately needing that male in there. And this society brainwashes them, our women, through materialism. That's one of the big brainwashing techniques. Oh, if he ain't making a ton of money and making more money than you, then he don't need to be in that house. And my wife, she pointed something out last week, and we'll get into it a little later on. But it's not about the man. A woman can make more money than a man. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, because there's that Bible verse, and we're gonna get into it later. If a man doesn't provide for his house, he's worse than an infidel. It's not just talking about money. Okay. And we'll get into that a little later on, but it's about this provide spiritually also. All right. And Makisha, she posted something here that says, in graduate school, many of my white and black female colleagues are extremely shocked when I say I don't identify as a feminist nor support it. I'm not a favor of any isms in this country. Good job, Makisha. And I taught about that in one of the videos. They were talking about, okay, these women, they grow up in a house, the father's not there, the mother's constantly telling them, oh, ain't no good men ain't good, don't trust them men, this, that, and the other, getting poisoned. Then they go to high school, same thing. Then they go to college and they really enforce it because it's a feminazi society in those colleges. You don't need no man, you stronger, you better, this, blah, 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 blah. And the only people eating that up and buying into it are the black women, because the white women get out, they meet a man in the corporate world who's making as much or more money than them, and they get in order. Because when they get when you're in a corporate environment, like when you're making that big money, it ain't worth it for you to put some dude on child support. You're going to be getting less money. Okay. So for white folks on that level, it don't make sense for them to put some dude on child support or something like that. That's designed for our black men that they done destroyed, that are making 40. I mean, I'm talking about even if black dude making 40, 50,000, oh, he's a prime target. But you get a black dude, professional dude who making over 100,000, it don't make sense for a woman to put him on child support. He could use lawyers and do some other stuff, put money in trust if he know what he's doing, and sidestep all that stuff. But yeah, that's, but that's interesting. That they were shocked that you weren't. I mean, that you did that. I didn't know that. I knew the feminism was extreme in colleges. I didn't know it was to that level. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because when they had all those, it was around the time Trump got inaugurated or whatever, got in office, but they had that big female march on Washington, and they had the black women up there in the front hating their men. It's like, yeah, these white women are, they're against their men, but the white women put, I said the black women are against their men, but the white women, at the end of the day, they, as feminazi and feminists as they are, they didn't elect Hillary Clinton in there. They put Trump in there, and they were saying it was a white female vote that was, I guess, the deciding factor or something like that. But anyway, they brainwash us into thinking we don't need a black man in the house. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, that he serves no purpose. Okay, and in situations like this happen. So let me pull up this video, because this is like a perfect example of why you need a black man in the house. All right. So just give me a second. All right. Okay. And now that's his mother right there. Okay. And she was yelling at him, and that's his friend right back there. And that's his mother. Now watch. Punched his mother in the face. All right. You just let me tell you this. If that was my son and he did that to my wife, I would treat him like a stranger up in my house hitting my wife. That's how he get treated, And that's all I got to say. Yeah, I don't want to go any further than that. But that's why you need a black man in the house. Like, how did it get to that point? How them dudes sitting up in the house, you know what I'm saying? How did it get to that point? Why? Because as a child, like I see a lot of these kids, there'd be little kids, little toddlers, 3, 4 years old, something like that, 2 years old or whatever. I don't know how old, but I seen kids, somebody tell them something and the kid will hit their parent. Did you just hit me? Man, that happened one time and that child would never touch me. And I wouldn't hurt him, but I wouldn't hurt him permanently. But I mean, he'd get a whooping. He'd get a whooping. And like any real man knows this. Any real man can spot that disrespect and has a real man knows the thin line of what is, hey man, you disrespecting me, and okay, I can let that slide. And it's a thin line and it's not very high. It's not a very high scale, you know? And, well, again, we're going to get into that a little later. Okay. And I put a little note here. It does not bother a real man to discipline. Like a real man is not bothered disciplining. Like, and women, and I put the note here. It says, when it comes to discipline, women let their emotions get in the way. And you don't, all you got to do is watch a couple Tony Sotomayor videos to see how women let their discipline get in, let their emotions get in the way. This child hitting his mother is a prime example of a woman letting her emotions get in the way. So when that boy was young, she didn't want to whoop him. Oh, just stop, because I don't like whooping you and this, that, and the other, because, you know, you're so cute and all that, and you came from me. Or you get the women who go to other extreme where the women are stabbing their kids and stabbing babies and putting them in microwaves. Okay, because you see that too. So, you know, and that's letting your emotions get in the way. Like a dude's gonna, like, I whoop my kids, I don't feel one way or another. It's just something, hey, you know, hey, the dishes need to be clean. I do that. I don't feel one way or another about it. You need a whooping, you gonna get it. I don't feel one way or the other about it. It doesn't hurt my feelings to whooping. No, you did this wrong. Now you getting a whooping. Whack, 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 whack. Tears. Okay, we done. You know what I'm saying? But women are sensitive, and it's not evil. It's not bad that a woman is sensitive. She's supposed to feel connection to that child. She's a nurturer caregiver. She's supposed to be sensitive, okay? But a man is a man, you know, and he's there for security, for discipline, for order, and all that stuff. So he shouldn't be, oh, I don't want to whoop him either, you know. That's why I'm saying there's a role for each person to be in, okay? And like I said, it's not bad that the woman feels sensitive and feels some type of way when her child's getting a spanking, and sometimes she don't want to whoop them, or sometimes when women get too emotional and things are just too overwhelming and they overcompensate with it and they whoop them too much and it turns into abuse. So there's a man is more designed for that, to be that disciplinary figure and to establish the hierarchy in that house. Okay. Now, okay, Markeisha posted something. She said, in graduate school, many of my white and black female colleagues. Okay. Yep. I didn't celebrate Women's March either. Heck, I'm looking for a righteous brother who respect Yahweh and my virtues. And then D Hoodie put, laugh out loud, don't watch that guy Sotomayor watch his trash. Well, I'll say this about Tony Sotomayor, because until he serves a purpose, because until I watched his videos, I did not realize how off a lot of our women are. But my problem with Tony Sotomayor, he puts out all these videos. He's up there meeting on David Duke's talk show, and he offers no solutions. So that's my big bone with him. So I watched him for a little while, just seeing, because it helped me see the true condition of our women, of the women, in our nation. But on the same note, he offers no solutions. I already knew how off our men were, because they always put that in our face, how bad, how off the black men are, but you never hear anything about black women. So that was a whole deal with that. And Makisha put laugh out loud. I don't watch him, but when I first learned of him years ago, he did give some truth. Yeah, he has truth. There's a lot of half truth out there, but again, he doesn't offer solutions. He just puts it out there. He's villainizing black women, and he doesn't know what our condition is and this, that, and the other. So, so yeah, it's a half truth. And yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not pushing people to follow him, because you're only going to see our problems and you're not going to get any answers, any solutions. So at the end of the day, it's not solving any problems. So I see where you're coming from. Deeber. All right. So again, with the discipline, women are sensitive. The woman is, if you want to kind of briefly categorize it, the woman is a nurturer, caregiver. The man is the hunter, gatherer, provider, disciplinarian, security, however you want to call it. Okay. But there's roles that you can see, however you look at us, you can see that there's differences physically, emotionally, spiritually between men and women. Okay. And then when you get in the word and study the word, you see that those differences are there for a reason, and for a good reason. But a good point to make is, it's funny. Again, you got to just keep coming back to how this society, this narrative they have out of, it's like, if you say, yeah, my wife, yeah, she's here, she cooks, her job is to cook and to take care of this family and watch these kids, and oh, well, how you gonna say a woman should be cooking? It's like, anytime you mention a female in a traditional female role, in a traditional biblical role, being submitted to her husband, this, that, and the other, it's frowned upon. It's sexual harassment in this society. It's being a male chauvinistic pig in this society to categorize a woman in her traditional role. But here's the trick. The men who buy into that, to society's narrative of, oh, don't put women in them roles, the men who buy into it have terrible relationships. The women don't respect them. They can't figure out why their relationships is all jacked up and all that stuff like that. So it's funny how it's like, it's right there, but people don't see it, because look, the brainwashing in this society is just so heavy. You know what I'm saying? It's all encompassing. Okay, and I put the fruits of a female-dominated home or female-led home are what you just saw. This is one of them. Like, you see this kid hitting his mother. You see the, yeah, and Makisha said, yeah, true. Everything's sexist nowadays. Yeah, but, yeah, and that's the other thing. They got a word that they want to put on everything. Oh, you being chauvinistic. Yup. Absolutely. That's me. You know what I'm saying? You being sexist. Yup. Because there's a difference between my sex and her sex. She's a male. I'm a male. She's a female. Okay. But a note I put here is, the fruits of a female-led or female-dominated home, where the woman has the leadership, is you just saw an example of it in the video. Again, if you want to see more examples of why you need a male in a house, Watch Tony Sotomayor. Like I said, it's half truths. He doesn't offer any solutions. But he just it's news to me. He's putting out what's really going on. And it's horrible what you see, what's going on with our women. And at the end of the day, you cannot sit there. At the end of the day, the responsibility is on the men. Our men have been pacified, feminized, and weakened, and they soft. So at the end of the day, the men have to step up and fight for their position of authority. They need to fight for that woman's soul, for her spirit. Like if you married to a woman and she dominates your house and disrespects you, it's on you to step up and begin to fight, and not physically fight, but fight in a wise, with biblical wisdom, and get your power of authority back. And it's going to be a tough uphill battle where you're going to have to sacrifice and go without certain things and all that. But it's on you, because we as men have dropped the ball. At the end of the day, the responsibility does lie with the men. Now, I know society always tries to blame the man in a off way, okay? Because they try to blame the man, but at the same time, they don't tell the man, hey, you need to take over and get in authority and rule your house like a man. They don't tell you that. They just say, you a bad man. It's all your fault. You know, that's all they say. Okay. All right. So we have a verse I'm going to pull up, and this is lesson benefit. It's Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. Okay. So Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. And I'll give you time to get there. All right. So true. Okay, so Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. And it says, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Okay? And that's these women who they get brainwashed by the child support system, by kicking their man out, getting welfare, all that stuff, just buying in. Like Makisha, she was just saying how her friends were shocked that she didn't buy into feminism and basically rejecting her black men. You know what I'm saying? These women, a lot of these women in college think they're so wise, and it's worldly wisdom, and it's designed for you to destroy yourself. Okay? And so those are foolish women, because foolishness isn't acting like an idiot. That's not foolishness. Foolishness is rejecting wisdom, being ignorant. You know what I'm saying? That's what foolishness is. So it says, every wise woman buildeth her house. How you build your house? You stop fighting your man. You let him lead. If he's not, because I had a woman wrote me talking about how her husband was raised by his mother and his sister, and he won't take the leadership role. And she was asking what she needed to do. And I did a video about it, just talking about what a woman should do if a man won't lead. And you got to back off and encourage him to lead. And so on certain situations, you just got to not do anything and let it begin to fall apart, and let him begin to jump in there and say, hey, I got to lead, and gently encourage him in a respectful way to begin leading and step up and take those reins and take control of the steering wheel. Like if the analogy is a car, take your hand off the steering wheel. Like, honey, you need to drive. Because an analogy I use for the current state, what a black household looks like in a marriage right now, is the man's in the driver's seat, woman's in the passenger seat, kids are in the back seat. The kids are acting up, going crazy. Um, the air conditioning in the car is too hot. Everybody's sweating. The radio ain't even on a station. It's just static. The woman leaning over the man, steering the car. The woman yelling at the man, telling her to get control of them kids. And the car hot, and the man can't reach and adjust the air conditioner. It's just chaos. And what these women, what they can do is back off, be like, honey, you're the leader. You're the driver of this car. I'm gonna let you drive. And take your hand off the wheel, and the car is gonna begin to veer to the side of the road. And you might have to reach in, hey, grab it. You need to drive, and begin to let him grab the wheel and begin steering that car. And the car might be swerving a little bit, and then he begins to do it, and then your job is to control that air conditioning. Smack them kids in the head who are misbehaving in the back seat. Turn on the air conditioning, cool the car down, put the radio on a relaxing radio station, all that. So everybody needs to get in their role. Okay, so that's a good analogy. But again, a foolish woman is gonna just keep arguing at a man, fussing at him, this, that, and the other, and tear her house down. Okay, so we're gonna go to let's see one. So we're gonna go to 1 Timothy. First Timothy chapter 3, verse 4 through 5. Oh, I'll put that there. So D put something up there. He said, not so shocking. Women are trash too. Tommy just but hurt. Oh, yeah. I know his story personally. Wow. He holds no weight. I can't rock with him at all. Okay. We're going to talk about his stories. But yeah, I think I heard I know, but he talked about it a little where, again, 90% or more of men ain't real men, including Tommy Sotomayor. Like I think I heard the situation he went through, and like if you don't know how to earn a woman's respect, you're gonna go through a disaster. I just think he went through a real ugly breakup with a sister. And I actually had a friend who had a similar situation, just went through a real ugly breakup where it mentally hurt him. And he adopted the mindset, yeah, he ain't messing with sisters no more. And come to find out that this woman, she had been molested. She had mental issues, all that stuff. Just a classic, typical Hebrew curses in a situation. And a lot of men, there's no understanding. This stuff never gets taught anywhere. I was one of these dudes for the majority of my life, not understanding our women and why they're in the condition they are. And I was mad at our women. But once I began to understand, hey, this is why they're the way they are. This is how you need to deal with them. This is how you make them you earn their respect and make them begin to respect you and all this. And you understand how to deal with them. Then you don't hold all that animosity towards them, and you ready to, you can move on. You can begin to get yourself right and walk in accordance with what God has laid out for you in the word, and begin to win them over because they see you leading. They see you as the example of leadership. So when they begin to see that, they begin to follow to that. You know what I'm saying? But so many dudes I run into are just soft. They've been feminized. They've been raised by women, whatever. I was, I'm not just a client. I'm however that commercial goes, I'm actually a person who, so, but yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I could articulate this I could break this down as simple as you want because I have been through it, and I understand. Once you have been through it and you have that understanding, you understand where folks are at. But yeah, D, I understand. I understand why you don't like Tony Sotomayor. Tony Sotomayor went up to I think it last year or this year, a couple months ago. He went up to some black conscious meeting they had up there in Harlem, and all the different, like the Hebrew Israelites were there, the Kemetic, Moors, all these black groups were there. And when Tony Sotomayor came, at first they didn't let him in. Then they let him in, and some dude punched him in the face and told him to get up out of there, and he had to leave because again he beating up on our people, and he not offering solutions, and folks don't like that. You know what I'm saying? All right, so yeah, I understand why a lot of people don't want to even hear his name brought up. Let's see when that rule as well. Okay, so we're on we're on 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 4 through 5, and this is basically outlining the requirements of a bishop. It starts out basically, if you desire the role of a bishop, you desire a good thing, and it's telling you the requirements, and it says one of them is one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. It says, for if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Okay? So, if you don't know how to rule your house, and even if you're not desiring the role of a bishop, you need to be ruling your house. You need to have things in order, okay? I think it's imperative. And when you begin to rule your house and you have things in order in your house, it makes your life easier. You see the benefits of a family. When you're not leading and you're one of these soft, effeminized, passive men, you can't see the benefits of having a family. You're not going to see it. You're going to be wondering, well, what's the benefit of having a family? Okay, let's see. So again, we're going to go to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. So it's chapter 5, verse 22 through 23. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. I don't think you could read that in a church without losing half your congregation. Because the whole 90% of congregation in these churches is women now. You can't even read this verse. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. It can be a lot of women in hell, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't be seeing this happen. It says, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. So I put this up here just to highlight that, hey, he's laid out a hierarchy, a chain of command of the way things are supposed to be set up. Okay, so that's why I put that in there. All right, I got 1 Timothy chapter 5 through 7. I'm not even sure what that is. I'll pull it up and see why I put that in there. I'm sure it's a good reason. So we'll read it. It says 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 7 through 9. Okay, so 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 7 through 9. It says, and these things give in charge that they may be blameless. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Okay. So what it's saying is, if you as a man, if you're not providing for your house And it's not money. It's not just money. Okay. It's because you got, dude, I see men, CEOs and stuff who provide plenty for their family, tons, but it's still a disaster. So money, they're not in the truth. What it's talking about is also providing leadership, spiritual protection. So you talking about these feminized, passive men you see who let their wives rule over them and dominate them. It's saying you have denied this book. You have denied this faith. And you're worse than an infidel. That's heavy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's no shock to me, because it's like passive dudes. It's like I don't vibe well with them, and I see why. Because it's like that's all. It's basically the complete opposite of what this Bible is laying you out to be. And like I said, as we go further in this, you're gonna see why this is just so imperative for a man. Like, especially when you see what I'm gonna be bringing out about the brainwashing of this society later on in this lesson. It's imperative that you lead, because people don't see the stuff that's bombarding their family. Okay? All right. So that was 1 Timothy chapter 1. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 7. Okay? And I put here just a little analogy. It's kind of like a Saving Private Ryan analogy to the mental and emotional battlefield of an argument and of being a man in one of these houses. It's like when you watch Saving Private Ryan, because I like that movie. Probably one of my favorites, Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers. A couple of movies I like a lot just because of the spiritual significance that you can make of it. And one area is, if you watch the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, they're on that ship and they're getting ready to hit that beach, and death is right around the corner. It's a dangerous situation. It's pure warfare. It's combat. It's active warfare. People are trying to kill you. It's life or death situation, kill or be killed, whatever. And it's funny because you see the different types of people that same thing in a relationship. You got the one guy who, boom, that thing drops, and you see one guy, he just gets out on the battlefield, all them bullets and bombs is going off, and he just standing there froze. You got another guy over there curled up in the fetal position, sucking his thumb like a baby. And he's in a battle situation. You got another guy who's sitting there behind the thing, and he not following orders. He's not following his training, and he puts his head up, and boom, a bullet hits him, and he gone. And then you got Tom Hanks' character. It's ugly, it's chaotic, it's crazy, it's not perfect, but he's sticking to his training the best he can, keeping his head down, keeping moving forward, advancing up the beach to behind the dunes, just doing the best he can in this chaotic death situation, and he's staying alive and all that stuff, So you can relate that to being in a relationship, man, because when you're in an argument or you got to stand up for something in your house that is against God's word, but that everybody in the house wants to do, but you as the man see what it really is, and you're the bad guy. Everybody's against you, and you got to be able to stand firm in those high pressure emotional situations. And when you're in a situation like that, you as a man have the ability more than a woman has to just sit there, to just block out your emotions and stick with your logic. You have more strength to do that than a woman does. And I can relate that to the battlefield situation. You got to have that good training and programming to where you're not going to cower when those heavy situations come. And we're going to get into that a lot more very soon. Okay. So now and that's what we're going to get into now is just the benefits and value of a real man. We're going to get into the pure core meat of this thing. My first note, and maybe I should just put it up here so you can see it. My first note is, there we go. Let me make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. I think that's too big. I know what to do. Just bear with me. All right. Okay. So my first note is you have to fight to keep a family. See, a lot of dudes get in a relationship and don't realize what it really is. And it's like, there's situations where you're going to have to fight to keep that family. There's always something coming in. I put like this fight to keep your family. I put battling what comes in your home can be like a leaky submarine. Okay. It's like you're in a sub that has leaks and the leaks just keep popping up and you got to keep fixing them. It's like, because this society is trying to come into your house and destroy your family. And you always see if it's not coming in through the internet, it's coming in through the TV. It's not coming in from the TV, it's coming in through social media. If it's not coming in through social media, it's coming in from family. If it's not coming in from family, it's coming in from friends. There's always something trying to creep in and just destroy that family structure, because Satan knows that that's the key. So it's a war. If it's not coming in from there, it's coming in from work. There's always something trying to come in your wife's head and change her thoughts as far as the word. The schools are bombarding these kids with all types of bad programming. So it's a constant warfare. And the only way to fight it is with this word. And if you are a weak, passive dude, you're just going to be like, well, I don't want any conflict. Like me, I eat conflict for breakfast. Like awkward situation is just a snack for me. I don't mind it. It is what it is. You know, because what I'm really about is this truth. Because I know the pain that letting one of these leaks keep coming in, I know what it could cause. It caused a whole submarine to go under. So it's like I'll fight it aggressively. And soft, feminized people will look at me as the bad guy, you know? And so it's like, but it is what it is, because I'm a warrior. You see camouflage all over my website, and it's called spiritual combat, because it's war out here. It's a subtle, deceptive war that you got to see, and you got to get your family to see it. Okay, so the example, not the talk, is priceless, what the kids experience. So a lot of people talk. There's a lot of talk, so much talk when it comes to this word, and no action. And like I said, the most important thing for the kids to see is you exemplifying the qualities of a real man. You know, if your wife chumping you all the time and punking you, and daddy a knucklehead and this, that, and the other, and daddy's stupid, and you just sit there and take it, you an infidel. You better, that's horrible for your kids to see that. You know, you get in arguments, but if your woman is just destroying you like that in front of your kids, that is horrible for them to be seeing, because when they grow up, they're going to get a man and expect him to be like that. And he'll probably be like that. But if you a real man, you stand up, fight, and you run the show and make sure the kids see who's dominant up in there, then they will get a man who's going to lead. Okay? I'm telling you, it's imperative that they see it. Not just talking about it because and we're going to find this out later, but not just talking about it because you could talk about something, but what they see is just so important. Like I was talking to my mother about how I never really had a hard struggle with drugs because I never saw them do drugs. But I did smoke because I used to see my mother smoke. I did drink because I used to be around drinking growing up. But I never saw drugs growing up. I really never saw it till I got a lot older, till I was in my teens or whatever. And I never saw them doing it. And they made sure they never had us around people who were doing it. So it's what you see, what you experience. Like the more dimensions you see of something, the heavier it's going to be. It's going to change you and affect you and everything like that. So that's a big deal. Like if you just hear something, but you're not feeling it, experiencing, seeing it, it's not going to go in as deep as having that full experience, okay? A real man does not need to be feeling soft like I ain't going to say it, let her feel like that. But you don't, like, they encourage you to be in your emotions. That's part of brainwashing of this society, is encouraging men to be soft. You don't need to be walking around feeling soft, listening to soft music. Hey, if you see this stuff in yourself, fix it. Begin to work on it. And it's painful to come to the realization that you're this way. I had to. Years ago, I had to realize, look, you soft. You need toughening up. And it was a humbling thing to become aware of, that I was that soft. But I had to become aware of it and begin working on it. And this is what, now what I'm going to go into is what separates a real man from a woman in that position. A real man is strong enough to overcome the influence of this society and create his own practical reality in his house. And not just a practical reality in his house, but a biblical reality. So a real man can overcome the seduction of this society. He can will his way through it. A woman can do it too, but she's not designed to. And in a woman doing that, she's going to lose her femininity. A woman thrives in that once that biblical environment's created around that woman for her to exist in, she can thrive in her femininity and let go and not be under all that pressure and all that stuff like that. And she can support that man in that biblical reality that he's designed to create. Like a man can fight this society and stand up to it and not feel any type of way about it. I talked about that earlier. Okay. A real man can grab the attention of his family from this society. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying, all right, hold on. So, and my wife put, both roles have to stay vigilant. Leaks can come through male or female. And I agree with that to a point, but a man is designed to be the head. A man is designed to be vigilant, to be watchful over things. Okay? That the man's role is a security role. And I'm not saying a woman shouldn't be vigilant, but it's the man's job. It's the way the man was designed to be in that role. And the woman's role was a support role, okay, to enable him to be vigilant and all that stuff like that. But a woman is designed to be sensitive, to nurture her family and all that. The man is designed to be the head of the family. Okay. And you can look at Christ's role to Israel. Okay. So, all right. So, it says only a real man can. So I say only a real man can grab the attention of his family from this society. Okay. This society is clamoring for your attention. Like I showed you that Facebook video a while back. Facebook, it was a president of Facebook talking about how they want your conscious attention. That is what they want. They want your mind. And we're going to go into some stuff later on, and I'm going to show you where they want your mind, where they're coming after your mind. Okay? That's what they want. Only a real man, and I'm putting a real man can weather the storm of opposition that his wife and his kids and society will put up against his biblical reality. Like it's a heavy burden when everybody, the whole family and everybody wants to do this one thing. And you're like, look, we're not doing it. Look, we're not watching that TV program. We're not going to this place. Oh, Dad. Oh. And everybody, well, baby, blah, blah, blah. And you got to stand firm. It's like, because, again, I'm going to show you soon how, man, like you got to almost applaud them how shysty and deceptive they are with how they deceive us and get in our heads. And it's like, and I'm still unwiring the programming and the stuff that's in my head. Like sometimes I gotta smack the softness out of me that's been instilled in me and man up. Like I catch it sometimes. So, it's heavy. Okay, I put only a real man can resist the temptation and seduction of this society. And this society is just like Satan. He went to Eve. He went to the woman and seduced her. He didn't come to the man. He used her to seduce him. So that man has to be vigilant against everything. So, and it's the same today. Satan is bombarding. That's why Satan tries to feminize and pacify and soften the man so he can use the same skills or whatever you want to call it to soften him up. You don't see anything encouraging a man to be masculine. Like years ago, before I got in the truth, this is what I was searching for. Is what's my masculine role? I knew what society was saying wasn't right, but I didn't know what was. And I had to search high and low to find anything. And even in the Hebrew Israelite community, it's hard. You see a lot of feminized teachings in there. It's everywhere. Okay. All right. So only a real man can resist the temptation and seduction of this life. This is how peace and order and safety is brought in a house. Satan wants you to waste your life by brainwashing you into thinking critical decisions are not critical. Okay? That's the whole thing. And you're going to see that later. But the whole brainwashing is, oh, that critical decision. Oh, no, that's nothing. That's just what people do. Oh, this, that, and the other. And you see him do this with sex, relationships, drugs, and career choices. Okay? And we're gonna get into that a little later. Okay? And then I put, okay, we got a little more. It says, the other thing is, a lot of dudes, this is a funny thing I've seen at my job. It's, and in my career, over the years, I know, I'll just read what I wrote first and I'll explain it. Fight for humility at work. rulership at home. Find scriptures. Okay. So what I put here is when you're at your job, you need to be fighting your inner self for humility, to be humble at work. Like when you're at work, that's what you need to be fighting for. It's to humble yourself. It says, do your work as unto the Lord. There's that other scripture that talks about respecting those people over you, even if they got character flaws. Those people point over you, deal with them, respect them, show them their respect. And at home, you need to be working on getting rulership at home, establishing rulership, leading your house, being the leader there, not getting punked and disrespected at home. But with a lot of our people, and just with a lot of men, period, I see feminized men at work. They're just these tyrants. Okay, they try to belittle all the people around them, and they sowing discord at work, and you can't tell them nothing at the job. But at home, their wives rule over them, so they just acting out at work. They got it backwards. They abusing other men. They going to war with other men. They're not showing other men respect at all. But at home, yes, dear. Okay, dear. Blah, blah, blah. I've seen it over and over again. And when I see them at work acting like that, immediately I try to listen in on their relationship, and every single time it's the exact same way. The relationship at home is a disaster. They're getting ready to get divorced, blah, blah, blah. So it's just another important point. And I put here, outthinking the economic warfare. So again, I'm talking about economically, they're trying to come against us and everything. Men are designed to overcome their emotions. When women do this, they lose their femininity. Women are sensitive. A woman has to be sensitive to the needs of her family. Okay? So God designed a woman to be sensitive, to be emotional, to be able to feel what's going on with the kids. Like my wife, I remember when the kids were young, she knew why they were crying. I was like, I don't know why they crying. She'd be like, oh no, she hungry. Oh no, her diaper's dirty. Oh no, she just a little tired. I was like, how'd you know that? And my wife is like, how didn't you know? And it's because a woman is very sensitive. But for a woman to get in one of these male roles, she has to override her emotions and put on a masculine, putting her emotions down and put on this masculine role of ignoring emotions and sticking to logic. And she loses her femininity. That's why you see a lot of these thug mo women up there, and these hardened women without natural affections, because they've had to put on this masculine role because the men won't get in that leadership position. Like a dude can easily overcome his emotions. He could put them down and just stand firm, and his emotions be going crazy in him. And and I'm talking about a real man, not these feminized dudes you see out here. So that another interesting point. Okay, so that concludes that lesson. Now we're going to get into, I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to get into another lesson on, concerning the programming, how this programming is coming about. It's going to be very interesting. So just give me a second to get all that set up, and so I'll be back. I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break or whatever. All right, so bear with me. All right, Shabbat Shalom. We're back. All right. All right. So the title. One sec. There we go. So the title, what we're gonna get into now, is just this society's brainwashing, and I kind of talked about this last week. Okay. So the first scripture we're going to open with is going to be 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8. Okay? And it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." Okay? So it's telling you to be sober. So let's see what that is. The definition, I'm sure, or let's see if we can find a good definition for it. But it says, not affected by alcohol, not drink, make or become sober after drinking. So a lot of it's drinking. But I'd say a better definition, and let me see if I can. I'll pull it up and see what it says in the Greek real quick. Let me go back to the verse. Okay, so it's 1 Peter 5:8. I'll pull it up in Eastward real quick and see what it is in the Greek. 1 Peter 5:8. Of certain affinity to abstain from wine, that is, be discreet, be sober, watch. So just be in your right mind. Don't be normal or aware minded or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It says be vigilant. Vigilant is just watchful. You're watching, you're making sure. And it says, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Because he just sitting there being slick, watching stuff, deceiving people, trying to see who he could get. And like I said, you're going to see this you're going to see a plain example of this. All right, so Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." Okay? So, again, just that mind, not getting caught up in the things of this world. And you're going to see why it tells you to not, I'm going to show you actually why you don't want to get caught up in the things of this world, because, it's highly manipulative. So now we're going to get into kind of meat of this thing. And what we're talking about is manipulation, hypnosis, mind control, brainwashing. And believe it or not, you could have good brainwashing and mind control and all that stuff, and bad brainwashing and mind control and all that stuff. Because basically, hypnosis, manipulation, mind control, brainwashing, a better word to use for that is programming. How you're programming your mind, what you're programming your mind with. Okay? So let's see. We have some definitions of. Hold on. Let me see. Trying to get this. All right, I'll do it from the other. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this window to open up a little wide. Okay. So it says hypnosis, and it's funny because hypnosis doesn't. You can't really find like a solid definition, but you have a bunch of definitions that kind of hint to what it is. So kind of as we go through this, I'll be kind of alluding to different things, but the best mindset to have is programming your mind. Okay, but let me see if I can pull this up on here. All right, there we go. So here's one definition. It says hypnosis, in-depth hypnosis, simply put, is the agreement of a subject to a suggestion. It is a form of concentration rather than lack thereof, contrary to popular belief that involves bypassing the conscious mind, critical thinking to analyze underlying subconscious brain functions. And when it says suggestion, put programming in there. Because, see, that's the other thing. They try to word this stuff to take the edge and the creepiness off it. But when it says suggestion, that means, and with a lot of hypnosis is, basically all the hypnosis is your conscious mind. So the part of your mind that's critical, that's thinking things out and analyzing them to the knowledge you have and it's trying to put that to sleep and just put stuff straight into your mind without it passing through that filter. That's pretty much exactly what hypnosis is. And when they say suggestion, that's the programming. That's them putting thoughts into your head, literally. And like I said, as we go on, you're going to really see, what I'm talking about. So, okay, that involves and it says here that it involves bypassing the conscious brain critical thinking to analyze the underlying subconscious brain. All right. So let's move on to the next. All right. So we have what I have here, and I will pull it up over here. Is this a article kind of talking about hypnotic suggestion, definition, techniques. And what you're going to begin to see as we go through this is you're going to see how creepy what a lot of the stuff they put on in this society, the true purpose of it. You're going to see this all everywhere, So we're going to pull up this article and I'm going to scroll through and see. So, so what they have here, and I'll pull it up. There we go. If you could see it, let me make it a little bigger so maybe you could see it on your screen. It's kind of some of the couple types of hypnosis. Okay. And like I said, let's put programming. Okay. And it's not all bad, but it's bad when you're unaware of it when it's being done to you. So repetition, when you hear something over and over, it will just begin to set into your head. Okay. Hitler said, you tell a lie over and over enough times, it'll become fact or belief. People will believe it. So repetition is a type of hypnosis. Embedded commands. This is neuro-linguistic programming. This is a real slick one where they embed stuff subliminally into what they're saying. So they're saying something on one level, but on another level is hitting your subconscious. Kind of a simple example of this is like I have this cap here that goes to this jar. And and I'm like, you know what? I'm talking to somebody. Like, I hate when people touch my cap. I hate when I put this cap on this jar and somebody touches it. That junk just pisses me off. Okay? You didn't tell that person, hey, don't touch that cap on that jar. You didn't tell them that. But subliminally, subconsciously, the embedded command is, I better not touch his cap on there. That's a very, very simple example of that. Where that gets used in biblical teachings is, in religion is people. You get a lot of people teaching the word from a spirit of pride. So they're teaching you all these scriptures, and the way they're teaching it to you is showing them as being perfect and showing them as being a person you need to be subject to. You need to, you see that a lot. You see that one a lot. Okay, some people put some comments up here. It says, I think society job has been done. The men are way more the issue than the women are the leaders today. Yeah, the women are because they are teachers. Today's men is emotional, can't handle nothing. They ain't fit to lead. Yep. And then Makisha put, I agree with you on some points. Many men cannot handle rejection of any sort, which is sad, and women are way too strong. This unmarried brothers and sisters bickering back and forth. Yeah. So, but yeah, so embedded commands, and that's a heavy one. And then they got some other ones that I really don't know about. But let's see. All right, another definition of hypnosis is a trance-like state that resembles sleep but is induced by a person whose suggestions are readily acceptable by the subject. Okay? And that brings us to trance, because that's a big one. That's a big thing. That's the state you go in where your conscious mind drops away, but you're still attentive. And we'll get into it. We're going to break it down so you can see, what this hypnosis, this brainwashing, why people are getting these beliefs that they're getting. Okay. Now, another important term to know, probably I would say the most important is this one. You hear it a lot, but I think it's imperative to just really get in and define exactly what it is. And it's critical thinking. Okay. Where that Bible verse said, be sober minded and be vigilant. Your vigilance is your critical thinking. Okay. And so let's look at this definition real quick. All right. The objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. Okay, let's see another one. Critical thinking is the mode of thinking about any subject, content, or problem in which the thinker improves the quality of his or her thinking by skillfully analyzing, assessing, and reconstructing it. So just really looking at information and judging the information that you're getting to, come to a wise conclusion about, hey, is this truth, fact? What's the reason for them doing this? That's critical thinking. Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. So After you analyze it, you're going to judge whether it's going to become a belief of yours or not. So this is heavy, critical thinking. You can, you know what I'm saying? Critical thinking is being vigilant and being sober, okay? So, and this is what hypnosis and brainwashing seeks to get around. They want to get around your critical thinking, okay? And so let me see. All right. Okay, so and the way around your critical thinking, the way around that, or another term you use kind of for critical thinking is your conscious mind, your awareness. The one of the ways around it is a trance, to put you in a trance, a half-conscious state characterized by an absence of response to external stimuli, typically as induced by hypnosis or entered by a medium. Okay, so now you see what we're getting into. An altered state of consciousness, as in hypnosis. Let's see another definition. A sleep-like altered state of consciousness, as of deep hypnosis, usually characterized by partly suspended animation with diminished or absent sensory or motor activity and subsequent lack of recall, a state of profound abstraction and absorption. So, okay, so, and you've seen trance-like states where most, is looking like zombies, and we're going to get into that, but that's key. Remember that it's trance, okay? So Debut put up here, in college, I learned through drugs and censorship, they suppress that part of the brain. Wow. So you learn through drugs and censorship. Hey, expound on what you mean on that. Through the drugs and censorship, expound on that. Like, go into that a little more so I can understand, kind of see what you're saying, because I know drugs are a way into that, and we're going to get into that a little more, but yeah. But yeah, that's trance. So, and it's basically a state where they're getting you into the state where your subconscious is open, but your conscious, critical, judging mind that can analyze, hey, this is off, this is bad. That part of your mind is occupied or off somewhere else. Okay? So so that's trance. Let's see. And it says here, there. All right, hold on. I need to, I'm trying to organize my window so I can see everything. There we go. That's perfect. Okay. So, it says, hypnosis in depth. Hypnosis is, okay, we already read that. Let me get back to where I was at. There it is. It says hypnosis in, oh, here it is. There are a great variety of trance states. However, common to all is that the subject becomes inattentive to the environment and yet very focused on a particular thing, like a bird watching a snake. Okay? So keep that in mind. So just to kind of summarize what we already learned, and just to let you know, hypnosis, that where people are hypnotizing you in a more traditional state and things are hypnotizing you, you're not sober minded. You're not sober minded anymore when you go into a trance. You're not being vigilant. Okay, you're opening your spirit to stuff. And just to kind of, what Debrew put up here, kind of hit on that, because it's the same thing with drugs. When you take drugs, you are opening yourself up to the spirit world for stuff to come in there and reprogram your mind. I did a long video on that, and it pretty much went viral, thousands of views, about these drugs. It's one of the ways that open you up to demonic programming, to getting a demon in you, either getting you demonically oppressed or demonically possessed. And you see a lot of people on this fentanyl, on what's that other, on crank, or whatever they call it now, methamphetamine, on crack, whatever the drug is, opens you up to demonic possession or demonic oppression. Why? Because it pulls that vigilant part of your mind, what science calls your conscious or your critical mind. It pulls that open. It takes that away, and you're just open to whatever comes in there. But hypnosis does the same thing. So for you to go to a doctor and him wave something, put you in a trance, and you saw with the definition, it opens you up to suggestion. And they say, oh, we're just going to suggest. Suggestion sounds a whole lot nicer and not as edgy as programming. Your mind is open, and he could program thoughts into you. That's not a safe place to be. And what we're going to find out as we go on is going to a psychologist or whatever and having them wave a watch in front of you and hypnotize you is not the only way that's done. There's many ways to put you in a trance and get you in a state where you can be programmed. Okay? And you need to be aware of them because it's everywhere. Okay? Okay. Yeah, he was saying, yeah, Deeper's kind of saying the same thing I'm saying here in the comments. He's talking about instead of hypnotizing you, a lot of times they'll just give you some drugs, and get you way off and have your mind blown. And I'll get into that. But you don't go in there and let anybody just get you in a trance. You got to be careful. When a person, they got you open like that and they could just put anything into you. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I'm trying to warn you about all this, but we go over to Christendom. And I remember me and my wife, somebody asked, is it okay for a Christian to be hypnotized? And actually, yeah, for Christians, yeah, anything's okay if you're a Christian. You know what I'm saying? And of course, they write her back and like, oh, yeah, it's okay. Let's see what they write. The answer, the word hypnotized traces its origins back to the Greek word hypnos, which means dream. Today, many are the thoughts and theories about the success as well as the danger of hypnosis. Those who believe in a practice hypnosis arrange a positive definition. So they're kind of warning her, but no, it's not okay to be hypnotized, period. It ain't nothing to talk about, whatever, And as soon as you hear something coming from the Greek, you already know it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So no, it's not okay. But I remember me and my wife went to this church, and they were talking about, oh yeah, they were talking about Christian hypnosis. We attended a church service there. That whole church service at that church, it was red flags everywhere we turned. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was crazy. It didn't make any sense. It was a hot mess. All right. So now we're going to get into our government, and what you're going to find, you don't have to do a bunch of crazy conspiracy theory research. Our government it's like they want to get in your head. They've always been trying to get in your head. Okay. When I say get in your head or get in your spirit or hypnotize you, I'm talking about, they want your soul, your spirit. Like these people who are, if you're not seeking the Most High, you serving Satan. And these people in these high positions, in these companies and all this stuff, and the people you're going to see in these videos are deceived by Satan. They think they're doing science, but they're just seeking after Satan, and Satan throwing them little bones of knowledge. And they're like, ooh, let's see how deep we could go. So, and I showed part of this video last week, but I'm going to show it again, because you're going to see what these people are really after, okay? So let me pull this up and go to the time stamp I have up here. Excuse me. Okay, so, all right. So just check this out. And this is how, it's where these folks are going with this thing. All right, so check it out.
Let's try these sensors out. Can we read out the signals in real time? And can we do something simple like control a robotic arm? And we showed that we could actually do that, just having the animal think about it. And once we proved out that technology in 2005, we said, okay, we're ready to go to humans. Can we place the same technology in the human brain and restore the ability to move and even sense after you've been injured? And I'm going to show you a couple examples of this. Yes, we could do that. And we said, okay, again, this is DARPA. We try to push the limits of what's possible. We said, okay, if we can do that for movement and sensation, can we try to do something even more complex? So we went to memory in the human and said, okay, for humans with traumatic brain injury, could we restore their ability to form and recall memories? Again, direct brain interface. Now, here's one thing that may blow your mind. The kind of questions that we have to go after here are answering things like, what is a memory in your brain, right? Have you ever thought about what a memory is, what those intricate neural firing patterns actually are, and how you need to interact with them in order to facilitate memory formation and recall? That's the scale of the problem that we're actually working on at DARPA. Again, being DARPA, we don't just stop there. We keep moving forward in our trajectory. I actually started a new program in 2013 called Subnets, thinking about the sub-networks of the brain, but for the most challenging problem of neuropsychiatry, and that's mental states, right? Think about depression and anxiety. Think about trying to develop a direct neural interface to help people with their depression and anxiety. And again, the same questions are there. What actually is depression in the brain? What are the neurons that are involved in anxiety?
Okay, so, and what I'm gonna do is fast forward to another part of the video where he gets back into that, and you're gonna see where these people are going, and it's scary. So let me go to 15, 20. So, all right, I went there. All right. So,
Doug, is just the beginning of what we think is possible in the future. Okay? So the last example that I'd like to give for you today is in something much more difficult. It's in that area of memory. Okay? Remember, memory is a very tough concept. In this particular case, there's a person that has volunteered for our studies. This person is living with intractable epilepsy, has seizures that are uncontrollable. And part of their therapy is that they come to the clinic and they have sensors placed in and on their brain in order to try to map out where this problem is occurring. And it turns out that some of the places where those sensors are located are in the memory structures of the brain. And we ran a test where we asked the question, could we develop a direct neural interface, stimulate the brain, in order to facilitate memory formation and recall? And this is for declarative memories, memories about facts. So this is how it goes. In this particular example, the person has to recall 12 words. We know how hard it is to do something as mundane as that, right? Think of phone numbers and things like that. In this case, we do it with brain stimulation and without brain stimulation. We're going to sense his cognitive state, and when we detect that memory is low, we stimulate the brain in order to facilitate its ability to do it. So the first example is without stimulation, and let's see how good he actually does. 12 words, no stimulation. So we got through 3 of them. And we've all experienced this. You know, he does the old face palm, can't get through the rest of them, right? So now we're going to do it with direct brain stimulation.
No kidding.
Got all of them. And that was the breakthrough moment for us. He said, I had a good picture in my head I could just see. It was the moment we knew that we were having an effect on his memory circuit, okay? So transformative moment for all of us that were involved. So what does the future look like? Well, imagine as you're getting older and you have a more powerful form of this kind of neural interface and you're feeling maybe a little nostalgic and you want to record some of your...
Okay, so that's where they're at now. Okay, they're at the point now. They're telling you where they're at, but they're always way further ahead than what they tell the public. But they're at a point where they could put memories in your head. Okay, again, if you don't know who DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Program. They basically like their mantra is we research it first so our enemies don't get it before us. They basically they're the ones who get the money from that black budget that Edward Snowden revealed that was like hundreds of billions of dollars goes to DARPA. And they research stuff that they can't talk about, crazy stuff, okay? And it's defense. And you know that means offense, stuff that they could attack and use as a weapon, okay? Oh, yeah, we just want to fix old people's heads so they could think about their childhood, and we want to help people who had a seizure. Yeah, okay? Think about what they really want to do with that. They will be able to rewire your head, see what memories are in there, and put memories in. And what you find when you look at Project Mockingbird, when you look at what's the other program, MK Ultra, like when you follow all the CIA programs that the statute of limitations or whatever it is ran out and that they declassified that they were doing, you see they're always after mind and getting in your mind and mind control and all that. Okay? So our government has always been about that. And you'll see that here. I'm gonna show you that here. Okay? So let's see. Let me check something. Okay. All right. But yeah, it's always they coming after that thing between your ears, your brain, your spirit, your mind. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So we have here is let me pause that. I'm gonna bring up another video, and a lot of people didn't know. Let's see. All right. Good. All right, so we're gonna bring up another video, and a lot of people didn't know Steve Jobs. He didn't let his kids have iPhones, iPads, computers, nothing, TVs. He limited all that. He almost. They were talking about these big, highly paid CEOs. A lot of these tech companies out there in Silicon Valley. They don't let they put their kids in special schools that don't have any screens or monitors in them. Yeah. So let's go in. Let's play this video real quick. This is very interesting. All right. Here we go.
We'd like to show it to you today for the first time, and we call it the iPad. Steve Jobs in 2010 was on the stage at the Apple event releasing the iPad, and he described it as a wonderful device that brought you educational tools. It allowed you to surf the web, it allowed you to watch videos, it allowed you to interact with other people. And he basically said it's the best way to do all those things. 2 years later, when he was asked, your kids must love the iPad, he said, actually, we don't allow the iPad in the home. We think it's too dangerous for them, in effect. The reason why he said that was because he recognized just how addictive the iPad was as a vehicle for delivering things to people. That once you had the iPad in front of you, or when you took it away from the home with you, you'd always have access to these platforms that were very addictive, that were hard to resist. So where his kids were very well adapted, well adjusted, may not have been prime targets for, say, substance abuse, they, like everyone else, are susceptible to the charms of something like an iPad and what it delivers.
Okay. So, and that's what I would say. That's what this guy thinks. And I think that's a big part of it. But I also think there's a little bit more to it also. But it's not just him. It's Bill Gates. It was, I think, the guy over Cisco Systems. Like, it's a huge list of people who they're working on this stuff. And what you also find out, and this ain't conspiracy theory, this has been admitted, that they work with the CIA and stuff like that. So you really, everything ain't what it seems, you know. All right, so now this is Alan Watt just talking about something interesting, right along the same lines. So let's listen to this.
Now, I also mentioned, too, that a fellow that has been in touch with me for an awful long time, his brother was in the CIA, or is in the CIA. He will never talk about the CIA to him. He'll never give anything away whatsoever, except one bit of advice. He said, never watch the television. Never watch the television. It's the greatest scientific indoctrination tool ever devised. Haven't you figured that out? It's changed the whole culture of nations, not just one nation. Why do you think it was mandatory that everybody in Britain give access to televisions by the government? Why do you think China is under the same program to get everyone with a TV right now? Because they love to have you entertained. Do you really think that? And India is on the same route as well right now too. Most of your ideas and your opinions and how you emulate, because you emulate things, you mimic what you see. As Charles Galton, Darwin and others have said in the past. It becomes you become it. And that's what's happened. It's been very, very, very successful. Never watch the television. You can't watch a movie unless you do it critically. If you watch it critically, not there to enjoy it. Remember what they say, it's your emotions that get you on. And it's interwoven, all these emotional themes all through movies. You're played like a harp. And they embed ideas into you, along with the movies. And predictive programming too. So you'll accept that which is still to come. And you'll behave the same way as the characters in the movie when it comes. Oh well, what can you do? I'll just watch much music or television. Yeah. You're given a mind of your own.
Okay, so that's heavy. And what did he say? Those emotional ups and downs in the movie are designed to get you off critical thinking. So you're sitting there getting all caught up in all the highs and lows and ups and downs of the movie, and then your critical thinking drops off, and you're just kind of watching and taking it all in because you can't keep up with all the stuff going on. That's heavy. Again, what he said is the emotional highs and lows and all the stuff going on in the movie is overwhelming to your critical thinking. So much is coming in, and you don't have time to do that critical thinking that I said. That is one type of hypnotism that television does. That's heavy. You remember I was talking about what's it called? The Color Purple. That was a heavy hypnotism too. I'll probably do a whole show on that alone. Okay. That's heavy. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next one. All right.
During the Cold War.
All right. And this is one video I found as far as that guy mentioned the CIA, but I don't do conspiracy theory. Maybe he is a fictional guy, whatever. But is the CIA involved with the media? All right. Well, here we go.
During the Cold War, rumors circulated that the Central Intelligence Agency had employed and bribed journalists to spread American anti-communist propaganda. Conspiracy theories erupted over the media's pro-CIA stance. And in a shocking twist, it emerged that these theories were not only true, but also that the extent of the CIA's interference was far greater than ever imagined. In the late 1940s, the CIA launched a secret operation under the codename Mockingbird. This operation employed a staggering 3,000 reporters contracted to spread falsified information around the world. These revelations irreparably shattered public trust in mass media. What led the CIA to carry out such mistrustful behavior? And if the CIA has infiltrated the media before, what's to say that it won't happen again? In 1964, journalists David Wise and Thomas Ross wrote a book called Invisible Government, which details the CIA's international mistakes, like the Bay of Pigs invasion of 1961. At the Bay of Pigs, a miscalculated and ill-supported invasion of Cuba led to the deaths of 114 CIA-trained fighters. Angered by its portrayal as an incompetent institution, the agency considered buying every single copy of the book. But this plan was scuppered when the publisher said they would simply print a second edition. Wise and Ross's controversial book ignited suspicions that the CIA was interfering with news output. What followed was a 25,000-word article written by Carl Bernstein for Rolling Stone magazine, which discussed the CIA's role in the media. Bernstein's article outed journalists suspected of being involved in Operation Mockingbird. Eventually, accusations reached a level that the American Congress couldn't ignore. In 1975, an investigation led by Senator Frank Church found absolute proof that the CIA had attempted to influence opinion through the use of covert propaganda.
Okay, so, without going real deep into it, you're beginning to see that, the government knows how powerful television is. They know how the effects it has. These high-level people who are in the need-to-know positions like Steve Jobs and a lot of these other people, they know how powerful this is. Okay? They know the effect it has. They know they know what you don't know. Okay? They know it's a way to control you. So, and I have some other notes I took about TV. And what it is, a little history and a little information about it is The first TV was made back in the 1920s, and the William Crookes, the guy, because the TV was built from the Crookes tube or something like that, and his whole thing was he was into the occult. He was trying to make something to get in contact with the spirit world. Okay. Same thing with and he was the creator of the cathode ray tube, which the TV was made from. You had Thomas Edison. The telephone that you talk on was originally called the spirit phone. And he was, again, Thomas Edison was trying to get in contact with the spirit world, into the occult. Same thing with Nicholas Tesla. The TV was perfected by a German scientist. And I guess after we defeated Germany, they call it Project Paperclip. After we defeated Germany, the Nazis, we went and got all their scientists, brought them over here to the U.S., renamed them, and didn't let anybody know, and paid them good, took care of them, and had them working for us on our projects. Worked on our rocket program, on our space program, and the television was one of the things, okay? Because they knew how powerful of a tool of indoctrination it was. So flicker rate and televisions. What the TV does is each time each time the picture changes, it's like a different picture going up. Like, and you could do it with paper. You draw a picture and then draw another one that's slightly different, and you do it about 30 times, and you just flip through it and you see it. It looks like it's moving. Well, that's what the flicker rate is. It's how many times it changes, it updates that picture that's on your screen. And at a certain, and they call it hertz, like you got a certain megahertz TV. That's what it's called, the flicker rate. And each time it updates, it's like 50 hertz. So that's 50 pictures per second. And when you get to a certain point, I think it might be 30 hertz or whatever, 30 pictures per second, your mind, your conscious critical mind can't keep up with it. So it puts you in a trance. That's why a lot of times you see kids or whatever, they'll be like, they'll be watching TV like that. And what is that? That's a trance state. They're in a trance. You remember the definition I read? It's like a bird watching a snake is locked in. That's how they're watching the TV. And then, so all their attention is into that. And it's into it because it's all that action going on and all that stuff going on and all that. And they're just locked in. And their brain is having to lock in on that. And then whatever is being taught, whatever is from there is suggestion. Or what I said suggestion means is programming. It goes directly into their subconscious. It doesn't pass through any of their critical thinking or anything because you're just locked in. And when you see when they put on these movies with all this emotion or action, that's a second level added to it. You're locked in even more. And like when dudes go in and the mouth is open and the drool coming out, they all in it. And it's going straight into their brain. And nothing's getting analyzed or anything. And then when the movie's over, they don't even realize that they've been subtly programmed with different beliefs on something. And it's that, that's evil. But I say you need to be programming yourself with truth. You need to be programming yourself with this word and with people teaching it in truth. Okay? And you need to always be vigilant. That's why in that one video, it said, if you watch a movie, watch it critically. That's what he said. Don't just go off in the la-la land, Let's see what else we got here. Also, it says 30 seconds for brain waves to change to go into trance hypnotic state, into that suggestive state. It says one of the ways Hitler maintained his control over the people and changing their minds was through propaganda, through visual propaganda. He'd show a lot of movies. You know, at the time they didn't have TV like that. There's also harmonic mind control when it comes to music. I'm just hitting on TV and trying to keep it limited, but there's a lot of ways that you can be kind of subliminally, subtly programmed and put in a trance or whatever. And the main thing is just being, like the verse said, being vigilant, okay? Okay. It says when you are in a trance or a suggestive state and whatever is put into you goes in deeper and it's more deeply rooted in you than if it was showed to you in a critical stance where you're like, oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah, this, that, and the other. So it's like for me, if I watch a Tyler Perry movie and I got the word in me, I got God's word in me, I'm like, oh, that dude's soft. Well, why is he doing that? Why is she doing that? She out of order. Why is he doing that? And you're critically looking at it and like, man, these mugs is off. But if you ain't got the truth in you, you just following the emotion highs and lows. And if you just keep watching it over and over again, like a sitcom or something, and you're not getting as much truth in you, as much word in you, then you're not going to look at it critically and you're going to get programmed and you're going to get led astray. And I see right now, I'm gonna need to do a whole show on this alone, you know, because there's a lot I could go into with it. But I just kind of hit on the surface. I think down the road I'm gonna do another show on this, and it's gonna be more extensive and break it all down and everything. But I just kind of wanted to hit on it a little bit, just so you know everybody has kind of an idea of, hey, this thing is real. You know, when you hear people talking about brainwashing and, oh, TV's bad. Why is it bad? You know, there's a reason why they call it the boob tube and stuff like that, you know. So, but anyway, yeah, I just wanted to hit on that. And let me look at my notes real quick because I think that pretty much wraps everything up for this Shabbat. Share this video if you can, like it, get the word out. You know, I hope this video was informative to you, and have a good Sabbath. It looks like it's over now because over here it's dark outside, but I hope you had a good Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom.